It's about the fact that they hold the yam and the knife. You want something. You're in Nigerian, you want to get quality education there. You're in Nigerian, you want to relocate there. They hold the knife and the yam. They can say, don't come with your dependents, or don't come with your dependents. They have that. And that's what Nigerians are afraid of now. They said Nigerian YouTuber MD Tiamiyu specializes in helping Nigerians relocate to UK. That's one of the things that he does. Now, coming from somebody who brings in people, we don't expect you to lay it out like that. Even if you know. Understand. It's also being wise in how you table the matter, in how you address, because you already know the reason why these people are coming. So you opening your mouth like that, and you are involved in bringing these people. You help people to get visas, to go abroad. You understand what's at stake. So you protect yourself. Now Nigerians are coming after you because even though the UK government already know and they have their plans, now it's like she mentioned, they're holding on to something, and everybody will put the blame on these people. They know, they have their data, they have their statistics, they have everything already. They would have decided to do it with or without somebody making a comment. So when you get to a place where, and it's not about white supremacy right now, you get to a place where you know that what I say, sometimes the way we feel on this show is not what we say. We try to just hold it a bit because you know that people will hear it and it may not be pleasant.
Okay, so I'll come to you, Brian. We've all learned over the years on how to say things. Sometimes people just say things off the cuff.
No,
it wasn't as if it
exactly. Mariah, as I said, who did they interview? Yeah. Do you understand? If we interview, when our president was asked, we were rightly upset about how he presented us. But you know, the other part of this conversation that is breaking my heart is that Nigerians in their numbers truly believe that the only way we can make it is when we get out of our country and go to the UK.
Yeah. Of course not.
That's what we're saying. Yeah. We're upset that the white man is going to close his gates to us and then we're never able going to be successful. Yes. Our family will not progress. That is so sad. That's worse than what people are accusing this boy of.
Yeah. I mean, to the radio,
you know, okay.
Let me buttress that point you just made. Somebody was saying that if somebody in Nigerian sells his land, wants to sell his land, and says that this money I want to see, to go to his family and says, please allow me to sell my land because I want to go to the UK. They will gladly rally around that. But if you I want to sell this land to start a business in Nigeria, they will hang him. Yeah. You want to sell business because they feel that going to the UK is much better than trying to start a business.
Would you blame them?
They will force you to. So that's the mentality.
Would you blame them? Did you think they just woke up and manufactured the mentality? Let us look at the root of the matter. When I was growing up, my father told me that he was sent to the US. He ran back. He said he preferred to school here and stay here. Till today, he did not travel. He's been here. He had another friend who was sent to the UK. That one came back, said, we don't like that place. Because life there and life here were at par. There was no difference. The naira to a dollar was just very, you know, just very minimal difference. And they wanted their life here because they were Nigerians who had pride in their land. They came back. Why do you think people are now opting to go abroad?
You know why I disagree with you in that place? Because even during your father's time, there are people that are still japaing. At that time. So people make decisions like today. There are people who are going there and there are people deciding to stay back.
Wasn't this bad?
No, it was that bad that we had a musician who sang about it with Sunny Ade. Do you remember this song? Who can remind me from the crew? There was a song about Nigerians leaving your country. It was with Sunny Ade, a female, I don't know if it was but someone else at that time.
There was a reason it started happening like that, right?
Something about Sunny, don't leave your country, come back to your country. So it has always, we've always had that vision of the streets of London are paved with gold. But people have always decided to either stay back or to leave, as it is today.
Let me take this call. Laddie is calling from Lekki. Good morning, Laddie. You're live.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling. Very well. Thanks for calling.
Every one of you have his point. But what I see of the agreement trying to say is that, yes, we are just trying because our country is not what people. But in answering a question like that, one need to use wisdom. You don't need to open up everything like that. You understand? That does not mean that telling lies. It does not. You understand what I'm saying? So I support of the LGBT value. You don't need to open your mouth wide and say everything. Even in your marriage, in your home, you don't say everything that your eyes see. There's some that you keep it to yourself. We are dealing with society for crying out loud, and we all know that this country is not easy. I have a job up here that is standing before me as I'm talking to you now, and I have nothing to do. And you go there to go and learn, it's good. But if you go there and say, maybe the first intention of everybody coming is to get up from Nigeria, that's not the intention for everyone. So people have a genuine intention. And we must try to
you spoil it for them.
Thank you very much, Ladi.
Yeah.
May I land my point that I want to say that at that time, people were not running away the way we see it now. We cannot compare what we had at the time and now, because we had a lot of people, foreigners, who were here. In my secondary school, I had a lot of white children who were students here. They were coming here. People would always travel. So you want to change scenario, you maybe want to get a form of education. Those ones too were coming here to get international education, as it were. Do you understand? So they were not running, packing their bags and saying Nigeria was difficult for them, like the narrative we have today. Nigeria was okay. Nigeria was new, like a new Nigeria. People were still finding their feet. When this started happening was when we now started placing, so those ones who traveled, probably their parents sent them. If my father had gone, he would have come back, and then he would go and apply for a job, and they would, somebody who schooled here and somebody who schooled abroad, they would give preference to the people who schooled abroad. We started giving preference to international certificates. We started giving preference to anything Oyibo. This is new, this is Oyibo, everybody's embracing. And the fact that politicians started sending their own children abroad, coming back and getting the best job. So everybody just, I think life is better there. If I can find my way, I go there. That wasn't the history. That wasn't how we started. We need to look at these things. Now we have a problem in our hands. It's not like Nigerians feel that if they don't travel, they will not make it. But the government has to give us a form of hope. Give us the basics. No, I don't want to live here. I don't want to travel. A lot of people who have gone there are regretting. They want to come back. So the thing is, don't blame them for wanting to go. Everybody wants a better life.
Absolutely. I mean, somebody was sending a message here that it seems, it's apparent that from all the comments that Nigerians have selective integrity and sincerity.
Thank you.
Selective integrity. We choose when to.
Yes. So here we are, we're discussing someone that is saying, UK government, this is actually an illegal way of people migrating to your country. Yeah. And we are the ones that talk about morals and religion more than anyone else. Yes. Someone has stood here to speak the truth.
Wow.
And we are castigating this person for the truth.
Wow.
Now, having said that, I'm not saying that we do not have honest Nigerians who are going there exactly for school. So maybe the only part of his story will be that he has painted the whole of Nigerian immigrants with one brush. There are some people who are going there who are quite beneficial to their host country. They have done the schools. They've come with their money. Thousands of pounds.
All of them go with their money.
That they are used in paying tuition, rent, accommodation, all sorts of things. And then they have gotten a job, and the host country is benefiting. So we have those, or we do have those, and that's the one that Nigerians are trying to, and that's what is sad. That is the part that Nigerians are trying to protect. Yeah. The fact that people are illegally migrating into a country without proper papers. That's what we're trying to protect. Why would we sit down here, be so bold as to say, and imagine, you are calling out that boy. Imagine BBC 2 watching you as we're saying, oh, he called them out. How can he reveal our secrets, our illegal secrets?
No, I disagree. Look at us. This is not illegal. We have moved the conversation. Take your call. Take your call. She moved the conversation.
Imagine that host watching us.
Take your call now.
Look at them. They are all there.
Take your call.
Let me take a call from, I think this is Ladi, I believe. Or Fumi from Ipaja. Good morning, Fumi. You there? Are you live?
Good morning. Good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning. I'm from Nigeria. Please, this is a different the things not that take religion. If the world is good, nobody is interested in Japan. Look at our leaders. What is happening? Their own children go overseas to school. And when they come back, you have decent jobs waiting for them. You have our own graduates, driving Okada, driving Mabuda, of standard jobs. I don't managing us. My sisters, you get jobs coming. Out of a year, maybe they have 3 months of good weather. That is adapted to it. We stop here. We don't have to stay here. I am praying for good government. When this country is, if this country is good, then it is good by justice. We will see that people will come back. If Naira is 3,000, like from yesterday, Naira is like 50 kobo. If you are working in tandem with the farm, you need to coming back to Nigeria. Let's discuss the issue. Let's talk to the people. Let's be home from given to him. Let them join our.
Thank you very much for me. So, as I said, on this table, we have discussed these issues over and over again. In fact, that's what I think it was recently saying that one of the things that, that you're not happy with when Nigerians, the way they make it look as if we don't actually say the truth. We say exactly what happened. So we know the issues. But the issue now, aside from that issue, the fact that we are also taking advantage of a policy, which a country is saying, I have 10 million, that they, according to the guy, 10 million immigrants have come in since 2000 already. In addition, and they're saying that we can't afford it. So, and then a young boy now was talking, and people make mistakes all the time. You just say it. Maybe he would have thought about it properly. But that moment, he was speaking the truth, which we all know. Why are we not blaming him?
I've just spoken it with wisdom. That's just what we're saying.
What does wisdom mean?
Wait. Does not mean lying. Before I forget my first point, I feel like we have moved the conversation away from what we're dealing with.
Okay.
The UK government did not come out to say they want to stop illegal migration.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that. It was the fact that they gave you an application to come into school, and then they give you a space to write if you have dependents. And they're saying now the dependents you people are coming with is too much for us to handle. That's the issue.
Yes.
So we're not dealing with illegal immigration now. That's another ball game. The day they want to wake up and talk about that one, they will talk about that one. We're talking about people who actually have an intention of going to school. Whether they want to japa at the back of their mind, they pay for the schools.
Yeah.
They buy their visas. Yeah. They pay for accommodation. And then they come with their family members. The family members pay for visas. So there's nothing illegal in that. Yeah. Now you make a statement and you give them a blanket that all of them coming here is just for japa reason. Some of them have an intention to come back. Whether they come with family or not, they actually have an intention to come back. We've had people who've gone there and they are back. So this blanket thing is not about illegal. Yes. There's nothing wrong we are doing here. They opened their doors. They gave us an opportunity to come with dependent. Now they say they are tired.
So you're right. Because there's a part also that it might affect those who are just going to school for.
It is going to affect.
Legally going to school without dependence. Yeah. Let me take a call. Come to you, Mariam. Olabi from Egbeda.
We lost that.
Sorry. I apologize. Go ahead, Mariam.
Okay, so it may not, maybe the word is not illegal, but is that we have seen a loophole in a policy and we've decided to take advantage of it, and we do that very well in our country. With monetary policies, all sorts of fiscal policies, Nigerians, we see a loophole and we take advantage of it. So, this country, in order to encourage people to come to their country for an education, they're saying, okay, come with your family. It will even help you settle in mentally, socially. At least you're surrounded by your dependents. You're not in school still struggling and wondering how your dependents are doing abroad. But what we have done, so maybe I will not call it illegal, but it may be immoral, is that what we have done is that we know that is not about the education, but it's about leaving my country and migrating to their country. And what are the ways in which I can do that? Oh, there's this student visa. There's a loophole that says I can bring my dependents. What can we do? Let's put this money together and go to that school. However I do it, however I finish, it does not matter. Is that I'm bringing my family in. Now, having said that, I'm still not talking about those who go to school legitimately for school. After all, some of these people go to school and come back. In fact, their dependents don't go with them. But we have a system, and that's what that boy was saying. We have a system. Their intent, they're not using the student visa for education. They're using the student visa to migrate. You may not call it illegal, but it is so bothersome to the UK government that they notice that there's just such a sharp rise in the number of people who have been coming into their country in a short time since that policy was put in place. Okay, so there must be something wrong with this policy. What is happening? And someone explained it to them. So whether we like it or not, we are here defending and asking someone not to have spoken the truth, knowing that Nigerians have been taking undue advantage of a policy they shouldn't have taken the way they have taken it.
Let me take this call from Olabi. You're there. You're live.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, please. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'm on this side this morning.
Thank you.
I
have to be.
This happened to my uncle. This man has sent
volume
to Covenant University. After graduating, they are offering them 25,000 naira job and even chamber. The man told me, they retired the banker. The man told me that, Even when I'm working with a continental bank as a branch manager, I'm receiving 500,000. And I go to public school. Not Nigerians that I came with millions of people with loans, this and that, they are all the 5,000. Not as a donor. I have a school I'm running. They'll be giving you 25,000 and I'll be having 25,000 so that you don't just pay at all. After 2 months, not just reading everything like, okay, let me just go for a loan and cost students that come. I'm sending you to UK for your master and I'm applying for a loan. You guys will be the ones to pay back this loan. In the first loan, the students paid at the loan and they now invited the man and the wife down to the UK. The man came back with us and said, that 82 was telling you, I would prefer to stay. That's not that the children now is deep down over there. They are only saying in one room because that place is so convenient that you can.
Oh, I lost him. Well, someone story about his own, about somebody. I can't remember. It was really a bit muffled. Now, well, I also wonder, why do we always see the negative in everything? Is it possible for Nigerians to see the light? Is it possible that this man's utterance during that interview could also be an indication to United Kingdom that, you know what, maybe we need to have a better immigration policy where people can actually come in legally, such that they are not using the student visas. It could be a start of a conversation that, you know what, there was a time we used to do migration, we stopped it. Now let us open up, maybe they can now begin to formulate new policies such that to help Nigerians immigrate properly, not using student visas. That could be a way of, that could be a possibility, but we have, in our own mind, we've interpreted what he said as, they're going to lock up the gates or stop others from coming. It could be feedback to the parliament that, you know what, maybe we need to find a proper way to get people migrate with their families who are the same way Canada had done. Canada put a policy to ensure that the best hands come into their country legally. So UK doesn't have that system. All they had was the students opening, but now with this feedback, they can say, okay, let us monitor or let us mirror what Canada is doing and bring in professionals, people who can migrate our country. But no, we see it as feedback.
No, the point is, UK is full.
How do you know that?
I have people that are living there. They have a problem in their hands. They have accommodation problem. They have infrastructure problem. The place is full of different people aside from their own people. They are bringing down the resources. It is full. Canada will get to that point later. Now they need people because they have a vast land space and they need people to come in. They need professionals to come in. They need people to, boost their population. After they get to their brim, they will put a stop to this and they will come up with 1 or 2 reasons, why they need to do that. The fact is, the UK can have access to this fact, right? But Nigeria is not the only country that was called in this. I've not heard them interviewing an Indian. I've not heard them interviewing, I think, one other country. No, wait now. And I think when they interview those people, even though we are doing the same thing with Nigerians, they will not speak like this. No. There's what they call patriotism. You can say patriotic. Wait now. You can allow me land my point.
Do you know the meaning of the word? Should we start what patriotism is?
Yeah, I do. I know the meaning.
We Nigerians are not patriotic. Who's fooling who? Because we have one scapegoat now, we're now deciding on we nobody.
Yes.
Most people are not patriotic.
Yeah, here, right?
Let's go on a break.
But when you go there, please be patriotic.
Let's go on a break. Selective patriotism. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ask questions if I want to ask questions, and if it's something that I saw coming, I may not even ask questions. I may even tell you I saw this.
What if it's in person? But then would it make a difference where? So like this person might just say you people can just be on 3rd Mainland Bridge on a bike, and the person say, babe, I cannot do it again, and you lose range. So what would change? What would change the scenario? Like, does it matter where? Do you want to have like a fancy dinner, like the film you were mentioning?
No, like finding up
and then, or do you want to be on the street?
Don't carry me go fancy dinner.
Or you are just una dey run for treadmill.
Or you not a job.
I'll tell you, you'll lose for your web.
Now I don't turn attempted murder.
So which would it be? Because I'm like, in person, you have the closure that you want and they feel injury.
Guys, that's one place. It could be inside the car. You can sit down inside the car.
Why car? Why not bike?
Who will be driving?
Why bike?
Who will be
No,
driving
now
at
the
this
car will
point?
be stationary.
Pray I'm not the one driving.
The car will
Just
be
pray.
stationary.
Because I go master. You can't be telling me like me. I'm going to drive near water.
All
Once you consider.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known, for when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, multiple award-winning actor, producer, ambassador of Edo People, we have Etinosa Idemudia in the building!
Not be first to go police station, they win the case.
Is
So
she?
you are showing
No,
yourself.
I go see as my second
You are
question.
feeling like a contact the prancing peacock. I'm about to cut your wings. Hello? Now, in the amalgamation of 1914, who was the woman who drew the line of the amalgamation? Who cut the report? Who is the person that used scissors? What is his name?
That woman.
That
Dream.
You have done me dirty. I've marked your face. I've marked your.
Thanks for staying with us. So this our topic is quite hot. Let's take a few comments on social media. Mariam?
Yes, Luwa Kishi says, Mariam, I'm pretty sure if you're in the same financial status as my family right now, you won't hesitate to join the train of japa. Nigeria is hard. Age is no longer on our side at over 40. We're gonna make it. I need a change of environment. Akimbo Wale Olusuji says, Mariam, the song, Sonia, this song we're trying to remember is Nigeria Yiti Gbogbo.
Oh, okay.
As I type, I am with my laptop applying for an undergraduate university abroad after graduating here 9 years ago.
Wow.
Ibrahim says there's no illegality, that's to Mariam, there's no illegality in bringing your family to the UK if the law permits it. The problem is the family coming into the UK with no adequate provisions and ending up becoming a burden on the system.
Yeah.
It's true.
Agogo says anybody from anywhere in the world can take advantage of a perceived loophole. Ifelua says it's not only Nigerians that are taking advantage. However, only Nigerian came out on international TV to throw their immigrants under the bus. Good bits. Corey Michael says only Nigerian students they travel go UK to study. Check Indian, Bangladesh, and Pakistani. Why do we hate ourselves so much? Akani says, nah, they worry UK. It's either they stop giving us visa or reduce dependence. Shikina. Oluti says, this new policy will encourage separation in families. If the intended students have a rethink, they will not come to UK for studies.
Okay, we'll be wrapping up soon on this, but we'll open up our phone lines to get a few more calls. But you see, the issue of why Nigerians are jackpotting is something we've discussed over and again on this show. And the truth is that the only way we can solve this problem is if we make Nigeria better. So the burden again is back on the Nigerian government to ensure that people are able to graduate and get a job. People are able to have a living, have that basic housing, food, clothing, shelter for their families. Those are the basic Nigerians are asking. They're not asking for so much.
Yeah.
When you do that, people can even live, no matter how middle class or maybe how lower middle class they are, they will still be content. But somebody said something this week or the last week that lower class don't japa. It's the middle class. They are the ones that actually have tried to build a family for themselves, and they realize that, you know what, maybe when I go there, I have a better option. So the issue is, if those who are struggling to survive are still having issues having something concrete in Nigeria. And that's why they choose, especially because of their children. They can manage.
Yeah.
Many of those who japa, they are willing to stay. But because they feel like they have 8 years old, 5 years old, even I was telling my husband the other day, I don't want my 18-year-old child, when she now gets to 18, to tell me that, Mommy, okay, I want to do my university. I'm giving her stories. I want us to do something so that even if she makes a choice, although as of today, I want her to go to university in Nigeria because I feel like there's more value in that. But if she wants the option, Mommy, I want to do it, and she wants to say, okay, you can go. Let us put plans in place because no family wants to have to face a child and say, you can't go because I can't afford it.
Yeah, that's sad.
So everybody looking for options for my children. Either make them citizens, get them abroad, do something, let them get a better education. It's all because of the children, it's not because of us.
Yeah, because we think the country is not working the way we want it to work, and that's it. And I know that this traveling abroad has given a lot of people hope. A lot of people would have been depressed and, you know, gone the other way just because life isn't working. We have businesses that close down for no reason. All the money you've spent, no matter how rich you think you are in this country, may God not give you a disease that you cannot, you know, come out of, and that money just goes down the drain. The healthcare is not working. A lot of things are not working, and so some people still have hope that, okay, once I can buy this visa and get this visa and just travel, I may be okay, and it gives them that hope. So the Nigerian government needs to sit up and entice us to stay in our country. We don't want to
have an international call from Ireland. Kazim, calling from Dublin. You're live. Thanks for calling.
You post me for international call. Supremacy.
Good morning. Are you there?
Good morning.
Yes, you're live. And get some volume.
Thank you so much. You guys are doing a great job there. I want to say that the conversation you are having there, it's good. But to be honest, you said it as it's okay. There's no point to be dramatic. This young man has just said it exactly the way it is. And we just take it like that. There's no point trying to swag him for what he said. That's all I want to say.
Okay, sir, but you're in Ireland. Are you not?
Yeah,
You're not in. Why are you not in Nigeria, sir?
Well, I have a setup for people in Nigeria, but I decided to go to Ireland because I wanted to go.
Or you just wanted to go to Ireland?
So there are different kinds of different kinds of immigration. There are some people who are looking for hope. There's some people who want just a change of environment. There's some people that can afford to live anywhere in the world. And you know what? I just prefer the weather. We need to understand that there are different types. And then we have some people who cannot afford to go to be in the country that they have put all their resources to be. So they get there and then they are stuck. So we need to understand. And the reason why we have such an issue is because we have the majority of Nigerians who are going recently, especially, it just seems that we have a lot of Nigerians who are getting there. And as you mentioned, and there's no places for them to stay. They don't even have money to fend for themselves. They're depending on the system that provides for citizens of that country, depleting the resources for the citizens that already live in that country. Now, when we make it a conversation about the government needs to do better, why are we making it seem like Tiami is the one that is the government? Tiami just said, this is why people are leaving, or this is how people are living. Not why, this is how people are living. Now, the reason why people are leaving is our government. We always have that conversation. Anyway, we'll keep having that conversation. But if my country does better tomorrow, and all of a sudden, migrants are coming from a particular country, and they're not coming and doing anything for my country, we will be among the panelists that will be sitting there and say, we need to make sure that the sort of people that are coming into our country are people that will be benefiting us, not taking up all the resources that the citizens pay tax for, work hard for, but because someone wants to run away from their country. Why wouldn't they put these resources to working their country? The people that are running the government in the UK are citizens of those countries. They live there, they were born there, they work there. They were not angels that fell from heaven. Let us do the work here.
Also, in addition to what you just said, I know that even in companies in Nigerians, many Nigerians who went to school here, who have worked their way up, they get really upset when the japa people come back to Nigeria and take their jobs. We've been working there from being an executive. I worked my way up, and suddenly because somebody else I came from the US, now make them a boss. Even in politics, people in politics are complaining that We have been here hustling, trying to get grassroots politicians.
Yeah, and then
your
your
son comes in from the US and now becomes your son, the governor's son, or the clinical Yaloja's son, comes in, becomes the chairman, you know. So it happens. Everybody is territorial. Like listen, we have resources that is depleted. We have people here who have done the work. You can't just come in and say, okay, because you come from America now, you now become the governor of the state.
Nobody's quarreling with them about it. It's their country. They can close their doors. However, we are complaining on how they are going about it. That's just it. Nigerians need to sit up, stay in your country if you ask me, and do the best you can. God help you.
That is all we can take on this segment. When we come back it's Wednesday, we'll discuss banking. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical.
Thanks for staying with us. Now I'm moving to the banking sector. It has long been the toast of many Nigerian workers, mainly because people who work there are believed to earn quite a bit of money. Joining us on the show today is a certified financial educator who started a thread on the appalling salaries many banks in Nigeria are paying their staff, either directly or indirectly through outsourcing agencies. Welcome with us, Mr. Kalu Aja. Welcome, sir. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. So let's start with your thread. This, it went viral. Many people are talking about it and sharing their experiences. What led you to express the hurts many bankers are going through, especially when it comes to salary payments?
Yeah, just lots of DMs from lots of people talking about help me out or this and that. And it's complete when you look at the entire structure and you see it's an industry built around underpaying workers. So I guess it's the need to put out there. Just to explain what's going on, right? The national minimum wage basically gives an exemption for casual workers. So what has happened is that the banks have simply taken the tellers and some marketers and converted them to casual workers. Yeah. So that way, they don't pay them the minimum wage. Yeah. And in some instances, they keep them on to a certain time and terminate them so they don't become permanent staff. So it's just a story of, hey, I'm working here for a long time, same salary, or I don't get benefits. Or, it's just lots of it, but the structure is really what I'm talking about, where the banks are basically hiding behind, they are not our staff, hence we can't pay them that living wage or that minimum wage. That's really what we're trying to get to. I'm really talking to the banks that they can do better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I know when this started, initially when you graduate from school and you look forward to getting a job in the bank because you know that in a few years you'll be earning so much. But all of a sudden, I think it also happened during the time of the network providers as well. They were now bringing a lot of contract people, and the bankers' salaries were slashed. They would say you are all contract, you are not a staff, and they have to renew the contract over the years. This was when they enjoyed the fact that they were paying less and using them to do more work, and they continued. But what do you think, I'm sorry, I have to go back to government now, can do, or the labor, NLC, yes, to protect, what do you think they can do to protect the workers in a way that they give the banks a minimum of casual workers and a minimum of staff that would come in, give them a number so they don't exceed the number of those casual workers? Do you think that would be some way that they can protect these young people?
You're perfectly correct. I mean, casual work has existed forever. Yeah. I mean, Apple assembles phones in China, and they do tons of casual workers in Foxconn. But China says you can only have 10% of your total workforce as casual. So during peak periods, during the summer, you can employ like students to work, only 10%. But in Nigeria, there are no laws mandating the percentage of the workforce that is casualized. So if I want to make a return on investment, all I have to do is to say, take an entire department and casualize them. And simply cut their salaries by 50%, outsource it to a company. The company rehires the same workers to do the exact same job, or pays them 50% less. And that's the problem. There's more of an institutional issue now. It's not like one guy doing something across the street. All the banks tend to do it. There are outsourcing companies all over the place, hiring younger people, paying them less, using their OND or HND or this excuse or that excuse. And if you don't stop it, there are implications which we can talk about, but that's really the point. Right. How much casual staff you can have, and then start to put a hold on this.
Okay, Mr. Kaluaja, I actually follow you on Twitter. I enjoy your tweets. I think they're quite enlightening, so it's good to have you here. So for me, my question would be, how is it that, banks and other corporations are able to do this for so long, for as long as they've done it, forever? We have the NLC, we have all the other civil service organizations, but also Nigerians as a group. What are we not doing, or what can we do as a people to influence policy so that things like this change? Because we're constantly talking about it. We'll talk about it with you today. I'm telling you, another 5 years, we'll still be talking about it. I just wonder what we can do as Nigerians, where we are individually, to see change in some policies that are not beneficial to us.
I mean, the answer is simple. The economy is very weak. One thing that struck me when I talk to people on the DM is that lots of people do not want to give information. They can tell me but they'll say don't post it. Even if I'm going to redact it, don't post it. People are scared of losing their jobs, and that's where this has persisted. Because the banks can sack everybody and bring in new people. What I mean banks, I'm being colloquial, right, is the outsourcing companies, right? So they can let you go and there are 10 others waiting to take your place. And that's the core problem, because there's so much unemployment that if you don't play ball, you're out and people could come in. And this is when I'm talking about the financial, the low pay, the conditions of service, working on the weekends, the harassment, the toxic workforce that is prevalent. The point is, I'm focusing on the banks because they have a higher standard, right? We are all, I used to be a banker, and the banks can lead the change and say, listen, we're going to have this pledge and say, if you work for us, contractor, supplier, you've got to have this, should we say, sustainable pledge in your own organization. Don't pay someone 50,000 naira and then outsource them to a bank. How does that make any sense? Security-wise, is socially or emotionally, or even economic? How do you pay someone 50,000 naira and then September go count $1 billion in the vault? Doesn't make any sense, right?
Mr. Ajag, I would like you to share a few stories that you've heard, because you say you're a banker and many people do come to you for this kind of complaints. So we have a picture of what's really going on, because now some people are listening to us and they're somewhat clueless on exactly, aside from the casual worker issue, they've not really seen or heard of real life experiences. Could you share a few stories with us?
Yeah, I'll give you real life. I mean, let's talk from the part of the bankers and of the casual workers. So what essentially happens is that you would employ OND or HND as marketers. They call them DSAs as marketers. And essentially you pay them a fixed salary of the 45, then they get a commission. Some get a commission, some don't. If they get a commission, if they bring the deposit, they get a share of the deposit, right? And that lasts for maybe a month or 2 or 3. After then it's transferred to a permanent staff in the bank. So they have the same contract staff and the same bank staff marketing, but just one guy gets a salary, the other guy is a contract staff. After 3 months, the wage goes, or the account goes to the real staff, and then he is like on a commission, and he's trying to become a permanent staff. So you have that dichotomy from the top, the bank saying you are DSA and you're permanent staff. But to take it home, the one story that struck me was a lady that was trying to get a job, got a job as a contract worker, got a baby, and had to go to work. Literally had to go to work on the weekends with the baby. So she would hire someone to stay in a shop near the bank while she's working in the bank over the weekend as a contract staff to clean up, or when she works in the teller or whatever, I have to clean up. If they miscount, the miscount is taken from her paycheck. So in a month she could work, and then when they count the cash, like when you don't balance, that difference is debited to her personally. So she could work for 30 days and get paid for 10 days if you do the calculation. And she's on 45,000. She showed me the pay stub. She joined 5 years ago, 45,000. Last year she gave me a pay stub, 45,000. No increment, no inflation hedging, nothing. And she tells me, oh, this guy will stay come with me in this hotel, or it's just crazy. It's appalling. And it was her that made me start to tweet, and then people start to send the stuff. But you can't have this going on in quote-unquote world-class institutions. You look at all the banks. We've got Wharton Trade Boards. You've got sustainability pledges. We have correspondence banks. We shouldn't let this become an issue before we take care of it.
As a follow-up to this, Mr. Ajag.
It's an easy fix. Fix.
As a follow-up to
this guy, if you pay them, you're not going to lose your billions. If you pay them, all the banks declare $1 billion. If you start to pay the younger, very, very low workers a minimum wage, even if it's 120,000 a month, you're still going to declare $1 billion. Yeah?
Yeah. So I was worried because I've had something up close. This particular lady was a cleaner as an ad hoc staff in a bank, and then I think she missed the day. She was ill. They deducted the money from her salary. In fact, so the banks don't pay the individuals directly, they pay the agents, and then they can slash your money anyhow. And she was crying, lamenting. People gathered her and they were able to contribute to her. And I also know that they do not allow this organization, and not just banks, even companies, factories, they do the same thing. They do not allow their workers to have a union. So nobody is able to speak up. I would like you to direct what you think the NLC should be doing for workers in Nigeria. What sort of policies do you think the NLC can push to the Houses of Assembly, the National Assembly, to protect the Nigerian workers? And how do they fight these fights? Because every time is minimum wage for the regular workers, and these subsidy, and these ad hoc staff in, and there are many, a lot of people are doing this. They are left behind. So what do you think in clear terms that they can begin to push so that we know who to hold responsible and how we can shout about these things?
Yeah, true. I mean, there are simple things you can do. For one, you can specify how long you can work as a casual worker.
Yeah.
You can say 3 months. Because a casual worker is you have like an ad hoc event, like the Naira change, right? And you have to employ casual workers to count cash during that Naira change. That's a short-term thing, 3 months. So after 3 months, you cannot be a casual worker. It's either you are fired or you are employed. That takes away a lot of it. So now, if you take away the casual workforce, you're not talking about the pay, right? And the pay is already covered in the minimum wage. The lacuna is that you can get employed as a casual worker for 5 years, and then because the minimum wage law says you don't get a minimum wage if you are not a staff, then you can then get paid 50 grand because you're a casual worker for 5 years. And if you're a casual worker, then of course you can't join a union because you're not an employee. So you see how it all goes still. But if you specify and define who is a worker, who is a casual worker, you can't be casual for more than 3 months or for even 6 months. So if you do that, then automatically you destroy the business model of the exploitative guys that employ these very young people and use them. That's what we need to do. It's an easy fix. Get that sorted out and say, just amend the act and say casual workforce will be 3 or 6 months. Once you put that there, then the model goes away. So they either have to fire all those casual workers or they have to employ them. Simple.
Right. With business, it's really about money. And sometimes I find that in maybe trying to change policy or push policy, you need to see how it benefits your employers or the companies themselves. In what way, if there is any, would it hurt a company to constantly have casual workers that they employ for a certain time, and when they get bold enough to ask for more, they let them go? In what way does it negatively impact a company? And do you think if they could learn from that, or what way will it be more beneficial to them if they kept, if they move their casual workers and give them permanent employment? If people or companies are able to see that, and compare, how do you think, it will help with policies going forward?
It's a great question, because even well before we talked about this, before we were talking about the Naira change, I spoke to an leader in a bank, and he told me the biggest problem they have with the bank is that they train workers and they leave. They train workers and leave. And I'm talking about the IT workers. And what you saw with the Naira change was because the bank had not built up this core of IT workers that understood processes, systems under stress, right? Because people come in, people go. The casual workers are not happy. They're simply working at the bank because they want to quote-unquote japa or get a better job. You can't build an organization where everyone is temporary on his way out. So you don't build that cohesion or that team building. It's just people are coming in and they see information. Those workers see your information, your bank information, they get your records and all that. You don't know who they are because they are low-paid transitory workers, right? And that's what's going on. If you build a real core class of workers that is brand loyal, those guys can actually give you ideas. Oh, let's do this better. But now it's just grind. Let's go to work by 8. Let's leave by 6 p.m. And I hope to get paid. I have no commitments to this. If anyone wants to do, and I'm doing, if you want to do a fraud, I'm available. This is what you see. Because there's no culture. You cannot build a world-class institution on the feet of low-paid casualization. It's like building a skyscraper with foundations of clay. You can't stand, right? That's just it.
All right, let's go on. Thank you so much. So let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll open our phone lines to get some comments on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Made Kuti in the view. It's still 7 of 7, and we've been doing a whole lot of protesting. The only thing that remains is just to carry placards.
It's about 5 or 7, to be honest, because Ask your question. I have so much to speak about once we finish.
We'll not give you the time because it's 7 of 7.
I will make the time now. He said he will not ask questions about science.
No.
Neuroplasticity.
And based on...
He asked a question that was subjective about high life. And he did not finalize his answer about a Kuti question where there are only 3 of us.
Editor, scratch this part out.
That could have possibly composed the music.
Editor, scratch this part out.
Stupidity is an act of ignorance.
Hey God, Madi.
Was composed by which Kuti?
Femi Kuti.
Is that your final answer?
God, I'm Sean Kuti. No, wait, Femi Kuti.
You said
Femi Kuti. Wait.
You can't be allowed.
No, you've not asked me anything.
Everyone.
You've not asked me anything. So my final answer.
No. All I have to say is this show is really about drinking.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
The questions don't matter.
That's the whole
Justice
idea.
is out the window.
We throw caution to
we
the
have
wind
no
right
morals here.
On the 7 of 7. Ikechukwu, Sunday, Okonkwo, aka Cross. Now your intro without
Wow.
So there's a name that thing that's.
I'm just drinking because you say I should drink. There's no particular answer.
You think it's only that can be wicked?
What's the answer?
Subterfuge.
Eh?
Yeah. They claim you did, but you said it just happened. That
And it's called what again?
Subterfuge.
Such a fuge.
Subterfuge.
So you look me finish from head to toe. You look at a person who go know what to become such. Yeah?
The nude wasn't like a game plan. Or...
I promise you, it was actually a mistake. Like.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have our guest, Mr. Kalu Aja, on the phone, and you can call us on 081-270-53687-0913907698. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Mr. Aja, the truth is that aside from salary payments, casual workers often need much more. Many studies have shown that it's beyond the salary. It's more of a sense of belonging to an organization. Many people have said, even regular staff or workers, some get low salaries, but they choose to stay in certain organizations because it's a sense of belonging. They're part of a whole. They're part of a project. Casual workers always feel that it's very temporary. They don't feel committed. They don't feel that they have a sense of belonging to that organization. Aside from salary increase, what do you think some of these banks or organizations can do to at least make these workers feel cared for, feel part of the organization? I've seen various stories, even in the public sector, where you have casual teachers, and they come in and they're not proper teachers, and they're just casual teachers for many years, and they keep asking for to be put into the system properly. How do you think these organizations can do better to make them feel a sense of belonging?
Yeah, so just to be clear, right? So everyone can be a full staff, right? There's always going to be casualization when you have an uptick in business activities like Christmas, Easter. That is fair. Quick wins that the banks can do is, of course, mandate an increase in salaries. That's a quick win, a low-hanging fruit they can do. But long, medium term, can we think about maybe offering hourly work structure where you can say if you work per hour, we pay you per hour? What this would mean is that the person could work 2 or 3 jobs. They could casualize in 2 or 3 banks and then raise their effective earnings. Right now, if you look at the letters I posted, you are only working in one bank, you can't work in another bank, and you are committed to give your full time and effort to earn 50 grand.
Almost nothing.
So if you say we're going to casualize you, then pay them per hour and say we're going to pay you whatever per hour. So that means the guy can then say, okay, I'm going to work in this bank and this bank. And I can put 2 hours here, or 20 weeks here, or 20 hours here, 20 hours here. Like it's done elsewhere in the world. But you're tying them down. You're not giving them a sense of belonging. You're not allowing them to then express or to seek out a career outside. That's where it now gets a bit complicated for them. It's not the casualization that's the problem. It's how it's done, how you are paying them to be a casual staff itself. IT guys are all casual. No one is complaining about IT casual work because they're highly paid. When you have low-paid casual workers, then you then get to that mix-up. This is not good.
So it's the methodology that needs to change. Okay, let's talk about the wickedness of people at the helm of affairs. We've had stories, of people who start working in, international organizations, for instance, and then they have these foreign bosses who come in and they say, we want to give this to the workers, we want to give that, we want to make sure that their healthcare is taken care of, they have bonuses, and then the Nigerian Oga says, no, leave my people. I can handle them. Trying to, cut costs for the organization that probably has the money to pay, to position themselves. And then they don't cut the cost when it comes to their own. They will take all of their benefits. But then when it comes to the casual workers and even regular workers, they try to cut down on what they can get from the organization. Please, how do we deal with these orgas? Because they are the major problem we have in our working system in Nigeria.
I think it's name and shame. Let me say something, right? This stuff happened in Nigeria today. If you took it across the border, it's a lawsuit. If you fire people for the sole intent to rehire them at a lower pay, or to fire them because of a certain race, gender, or whatever, right? It's a lawsuit, and they'll get into a lot of trouble. If someone that has japaed from Nigeria takes documents to, say, the US, and sues a correspondent bank in the US, you have grounds. The US will say, oh, well, you're dealing with a Nigerian bank that's employing slave labor. You say it's casually, but there are grounds. Walmart was sued for having jobs in India that were doing this same casualization. Walmart was sued. Nestle was sued for hiring child workers in Ivory Coast in the cocoa farms. So all these banks are open to contingent liability. You can't hide and say we don't employ them. They are casual staff from a third party. Most of the casual staff, from what I know, are owned by directors or friends of the guys in the banks. There's a particular bank, huge bank. The casual company is owned by the wife of the founder of the bank, right? So there's a bit of a tie in there, right? So it's a lawsuit that why wait for the lawsuit? We're not asking you to break the bank. These are the lowest paid workers in the spectrum of the whole banking sector. Increase their salaries by 10-20%. It will be a rounding error in the annual or quarterly profits. Rounding error. But then everyone will be happy. They will be happy. Your shareholders are happy. The economy will be happy. Because these younger people then get money that they can spend. It's like a stimulus to the economy. Because if the younger people are spending, then you are creating jobs for the entire economy. What's the point of a bank declaring 100 billion in net profits? Pays a dividend to its shareholders? But the workers in the bank cannot afford to feed. How does the economy grow with that scenario? It doesn't.
I don't even know if this is a question or just a comment, because you're right. You hear about these banks every time we hear when they are posting their profits in billions of naira. We are in shock. even as customers, because you bill us for all sorts of things, just for using your bank, for transactions. And then we also know, talking about lawsuits, we also know that these are the big boys. And you're telling us these small minions to take them to court, to name and shame or take them to court. Meanwhile, their CSR is huge, and appreciated by governments. They do so many things, So to say to Nigerians who barely even understand their political rights to now call and name and shame the person that at least pays them 30K at the end of the month is hard. Where does NLC come in this?
So we're back to the NLC.
Yeah.
Because the BC has asked that question twice, because sometimes you worry that NLC only jumps at subsidy. They're waiting for the new administration to come in to start their noise on don't remove subsidy. How can they? I know they do work. Let me be fair to them. They do a lot of work. Maybe that's not to the public, but I think Nigerians need them to be more visible in these kinds of areas. What do you think?
Cost changes.
Yeah, labor in Nigeria, in all honesty and all stability, is ineffectual. They fight high-profile fights for your subsidy because it gets them in the news. But the small fight that happen in, say, Damaturu or Enugu or Jos, they don't fight it. The women that cannot have weekend off take care of their babies for maybe how long is maternity leave? Why can't women get 1 year maternity leave? Why must you go to work on the weekend? When must you? All those little fights that don't get attention, you don't see labor there. But once they say we want to increase pay scarcity, you see all them all over them. Because that gets the news. They tend to go fight to the government. Maybe they get I don't know. But they need to fight simple fights. And if people won't fight it, go and make your case. Try and do a class action, even in Nigeria. Test your luck in the court. Go to court and challenge it. There's a particular guy that showed me his employment letter from a bank. He was working in a bank. He was fired, then rehired by an associate company, then posted back to the same bank.
Look at that.
1/10 of his salary. That's illegal.
Wow.
Even the laws in Nigeria don't say it's legal, that's illegal. Even on a PR level, if you go to the PR and you get a PR on that, you win. So yeah, that's just my take.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kalu Oja, for sharing your thoughts on this. And I mean, we hope that our platform has also helped to support the objective of that tweet. It's really painful to know that Nigerians are still going through this. But thank you so much for joining us on the conversation. When you were speaking earlier. Yes, thank you, sir. When you were speaking earlier about the Nigerians and the Igbo in the company, and I was not reading your patriotism comment earlier, because it goes back to how we are. Because I remember a friend of mine just recently located to Canada. He said in her company, which she worked for many years, they had foreign bosses. When those guys came in first, they wanted to bring in policies to help people get proper pay, healthcare, even there's a package, the gratuity they give once you leave, there's an amount they give to you. These are all fancy, and it was really exciting when they started. But once new Nigerian managers came in, they were cutting like the whole thing. But once all these largesse, you guys are just like, no, cut it down. And then when she was leaving, she didn't have nothing. They didn't give her anything. So it's part of the patriotism. How do we fight for ourselves? How do we treat ourselves? We are not patriotic.
And that is why they have legacy businesses that will go on for centuries upon centuries. That's what Mr. Kalu Oja is saying. You've now created a community. Your workers are now a community. They now feel like they belong to that community. Yeah. But here, you pay them anyhow. Before you know it, 10 years you're done. You close shop, you open another.
That's all we have to That's all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.